Hey Corey,
Hey,
how are you? Good?
Good. I'm
Yeah,
good.
I'm good too.
Fine, we're here, day 3.
Yeah, this is Michael. Hi everyone, and Corey Barker, day 3 of the Photoshop Compositing live stream.
Yep.
Hope you're all doing well. And we are live from San Francisco. Let us know where you're from. That would be awesome. So, Corey, you were showing a lot of 3D in Photoshop.
I did. We had a lot of fun yesterday doing this. I actually crammed in. You know, it's funny. I got back to my room last night, and one of the things I showed yesterday, I planned on showing today.
Oh.
So I'm like, I gotta put together a few extra things. But I got a really cool. I got like a hodgepodge of really cool tricks and stuff for today. But I wanted to throw something in at the end. Perhaps in the last 20 minutes, if enough requests come in. But I just want to know if there's anybody watching that wants to see anything that. Maybe they want to see something I did this week that they want to see me do over again, or they haven't seen anything yet that they really want to see. And it could be anything. It could be Felix, Fuse, Photoshop, almost anything.
It's like open.
Yeah. So if you have a
Open
request
bar,
on something
open
you
bar.
want to see, go ahead
great.
and type it in the comments, and we'll see if we can tackle that by the end of this segment today. So.
Cool.
And I'm going to give away a year access to my site also at the end of today's show. So
Oh yeah, thank you.
I'm going to pick a
Thanks
winner,
for
and we're going to give
doing
away a year annual.
A year?
Yeah, a whole year to my site. Yeah. So.
Yeah, so your website is a Master FX training.
Yep.
It's video full. I mean, it's full of video tutorials. If you want to master special effects, 3D in Photoshop. I mean, it's
A lot of 3D, a lot of compositing. Yeah.
It's the reference on the web. So yeah, and thanks again for being with us. It's
Absolutely,
awesome.
no, I'm loving it. Yeah.
I mean, yesterday, if you were with us, because this is day 3, so we did some compositing on day 1, also yesterday. You can watch all the replays, by the way. It's already available on YouTube, on the Creative Cloud channel, also available at Adobe Live. There is a tab in the sidebar. Yesterday, we did Wolverine with blood.
I have to show you this. So this is somebody that posted this.
No.
Their version of it.
No way.
So I don't know if you can see it on camera. So
Let me try to find it.
No.
Is it on Instagram?
It's
So
on
we can
Instagram,
share it
yeah.
with our friends.
So Normal TV Nerd on Instagram
Normal-
did his own
Normal
version, his
TV
or her, I
Nerd.
don't know. Did their version of my Wolverine claw effect that I did yesterday, and did a great job.
Okay, yeah.
I was gonna say it looks like they did the flash thing too, but that's just a capture of the screen from yesterday. So.
Oh, okay. But yeah, let me try to share it.
But it looks fantastic. Did a great job with it, and the blood looks really cool. Of course, he went a little bit overboard with the blood more than I
Yeah,
did.
oh.
Yeah, he kind of
It worked.
had it dripping all the way down to all 3 claws. So there you go. So
Whoa.
excellent job on that. Very nice.
Oh, you
Yeah.
like the light? I like it.
Yeah.
Bling.
So yeah. Actually, that's the light I didn't do yesterday. That's actually in the tutorial that I gave I
Oh,
gave
that
them
you
access to. So I did actually do the
Thanks.
flare part. So they did that. So
So
very
he
nice
followed
job.
the full tutorial.
And they got the full tutorial,
A
like
to
the
Z.
whole thing too. So excellent job on that. Good stuff. All right, awesome. So so as I said, I got just like a hodgepodge of cool tricks and things like that. And this I got to show because actually I posted this on my Instagram before I came here this morning.
Okay, so even bound the password didn't work. Was it all caps, small caps?
It was all caps. Yes.
All caps.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so I think that was
Yeah,
it.
I know it
This
works
is
because
case sensitive.
quite a bit of you signed up for it yesterday.
Yeah?
So yeah, make sure it's all caps and
All
no
caps.
spaces, just all one word. Adobe Live Corey. So
I will be live, Corey, one word.
yeah.
Okay, thanks. So I think, yeah. Sorry, I was a little bit all around the place because I had a computer crashing 5 minutes before live, which is always nice. You know,
Oh,
start the
right,
morning,
yeah.
But now we're all good. So what are we going to do
Well,
first?
I wanted to show. I'll just show this one real quick because this is actually so when I left here yesterday, I walked down the street to the store and I walked past this alley and I just kind of turned and glanced and it caught my eye, and I thought it was like kind of a cool the way the lighting was in this. So this is actually took it with my phone, and I just thought it was a cool shot. Now it's obviously a little dark, so I'm gonna just play with it. So I got back to my room and I thought, well, it would be kind of cool to just goof around with it, and then I actually turned it into this. So
What?
that drop is actually on Adobe stock. It's a 3D drop.
It's a 3D drop?
It's a 3D drop, brought it in, and actually mapped the environment.
You mapped in 3D?
Yeah,
The
it's
environment
actually
on
an IBL, an image-based light. That's reflecting like a solid, and it's giving that effect of the drop, and then I've got a reflection here like that.
There is some texture, right? Oh,
That's a reflection of
noise
the.
and grain.
Yeah. So well, it didn't fully render. I didn't finish the render.
Oh, that's the
why
pass.
you're seeing a little bit of
That's
the
the pass.
grain. Yeah, I'd
Actually,
say
no.
I let it go
I
about.
like it, actually.
I let it go about halfway on the render before I finally stopped it. But I thought that came out really cool. So I thought it's really quick. So I thought I'd show you how I put that together really fast. So.
Oh, good.
So
And yeah, stay with us. By the way, we will be giving away Creative Cloud subscriptions during the stream. Also, if you want to share, I mean, as our friend just did on Instagram, if you want to share what you are working on in Photoshop, using 3D or not, just share it on Twitter or Instagram and add Adobe Live. Okay, that's the hashtag that we are using to track and see what you are working on. And don't hesitate to ask questions.
Yeah, no, and if you showed up late, before I jump in here, I'll just say, like I said a minute ago, in the last 15, 20 minutes of today's show, depending on how many requests come in. If there's something you've seen this week, be it Felix, Fuse, Photoshop, that you want to see it again, or if you haven't seen something you want to see, you're curious about a trick or an effect or something like that, go ahead and write it in the comments, and we'll see what we can do by the end of the show. So that way, you might have a burning question that you want answered. So by all means, throw it in. And of course, I'm giving away your access to
it's awesome.
my site, Master Effects Training. So stay tuned for that.
Ready to learn, Horan Garcia? Okay, that's great. That's what we like to hear.
From snowy Cleveland. Oh, hello from Cleveland. Oh, yeah. How you doing? I don't envy the snow. So I'm in Tampa, Florida. So snow is a non-existent thing here. I love to ski though. I actually can ski pretty well. I can't snowboard at all though. No.
I've tried once.
I can make it from the top of an intermediate slope, a fairly intermediate slope, to the bottom. And I may fall once or twice, but I can't make it 50 feet on a snowboard. That's a whole different animal altogether.
Oh yeah, I agree. So. I like skiing too, but snowboard, I tried once. The first, what's the name? The first time I tried, perfect, like a Jamiroquai.
Yeah.
So wow, yeah,
loving it.
And then second time, boom, 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 boom. Third time,
you got lucky that first time, right?
Yeah. Lucky.
Trying some hexacorns.
Good.
So people are playing with certain effects. I'm glad you're loving it. So, cool. All right, well. While you're writing that down, I'm going to actually just show you what I did here real quick. So I just took this shot of an alley. There's actually a gate, so I'm actually holding my phone through the bars, and I'm just kind of looking, making sure. So I stuck the shot in there. I just like the way the buildings were looking, the way the lighting was. So I thought, well, I'll just make a reflection real quick. So I'm just going to make a duplicate of the layer.
And you use your phone to take the
picture? This is from my iPhone. Okay. And I still have a 6. I don't have a 7 yet, so I'm sorry, but it actually does take pretty good shots. So I've just taken or made a duplicate of the layer and flipped it vertically. And then I'm just going to position this right about here.
From Qatar, yeah. Hi, everyone. We are live from San Francisco.
Hello.
So it's It's 11 a.m. for us.
Yep. And I'm just going to give this a fade. I'm just going to layer mask a little gradient fade here at the top. And then that immediately gives me a cool reflection effect. It's like the sidewalk is wet. And I've got the layer at 50%, so it's looking really cool. And then I got to this point and I was just like, well, that's pretty cool, but that's really easy. And I thought, well, why don't we throw some 3D in there? So over at Adobe Stock, I found this right here. And I downloaded it so I could open it in Photoshop because it's, as I said I said it yesterday and today.
That's new for our friends because now on Adobe Stock, so not only you have pictures, vector illustrations, videos, but also now you have 3D models, 3D lights
and materials. Yes. So I'll just show you real quick, just so you can see.
So lights are IBL.
The lights are they're image-based lights. So
image-based lights. Okay.
So and actually you can and I did this yesterday. You can download the IBL images and apply them as IBLs in Photoshop, so we can get very similar effect on that. So I'll just show you real quick. So here's on Adobe Stock. You've got the 3 categories: models, lights, and materials. Looking really good.
And this has been released in it was in November.
Yeah, when they rolled it out at Max. So I
so you found a drop. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah, I honestly did not know it was there, and we just scroll through, and so there it is right there. So there's it's just a simple drop.
It's just a
drop element like that. Yeah, so I just took it and downloaded it to my system. So here it is.
Then so you can open it, and this is how you get the
so when you download it, you'll get a zip file, which you just unzip, and there's a few files in here. But I'm looking for the one in here. It's called drop obj. So just grab that and open it up in Photoshop. Let's make it a square format at 1500. So there it is.
Hi Sergey from Ukraine. Thanks for joining.
Hello.
Oh, people from Germany too. Nice.
From Ukraine. Wow. Oh, Cologne, Germany. Wow.
Usually we have a lot of people from Germany watching the streams.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So cool. So there's the drop in Photoshop. So I got to adjust a couple of things here. So I'm going to go into the materials. And right off the bat, and this is something to think about, I've noticed when you open up these objects, because these were really optimized or set up for Felix, they got the materials and such applied already. So when you bring it into Felix, but when you bring it into Photoshop, there's a few things you got to kind of adjust. And one of them being the specular highlight right here. You can see it's white by default, and it will look like, even if you adjust, the texturing and even the lights, it will be blown out because that specular highlight is way too bright. So if I go in here and just darken that,
some gray.
Yeah, you'll see it if I go a little bit dark. So there you can see a little bit more detail there. So now I'm just going to go ahead and bring it on over to my little background image here. Actually, no, I'm going to do that because I know this
Hi,
is...
Rupam from India.
India, oh.
Yeah, I guess we have all the continents. Nigeria, Africa, here we go.
Nice, awesome.
We have Europe, Asia, Africa, anyone from South America, and then we're good. So let's see if we have someone from Brazil, maybe.
We almost got this hemisphere covered. Swiss.
Yeah, Denmark.
Oh, France, there you go. Netherlands and Denmark. Man, wow. Lagos. Slovenia, there. I recognized Slovenia yesterday, so glad to have you guys here.
2 people from Slovenia. Yeah. Nice.
So I'm just going to take... I just resized my original image here. It was a little too big. So now I'm going to drag my 3D layer and bring it on over.
Okay.
So there it is. So first thing is I'm going to scale it. So I'm just going to click and select the object itself. And I literally did this right before I went to bed last night. So I was just kind of goofing around with stuff. So I'm going to scale the drop here. Now notice I'm scaling it. It's the ground plane staying put. I actually want the ground plane to stay where it's at because it's pretty much right in line with the ground plane of the photo. So I want the drop hovering over that ground plane. So I'm actually going to nudge it down just a little bit. There we go. And the drop, I don't want it quite that small. So notice I'm using the widget as I scale it. Makes it a lot easier. So let's position it right about there. That's kind of cool because the vanishing point of the photo is kind of leading right to the drop there. Yeah. That's really cool. So now what I want to do is reflect the surrounding environment on this drop here. So I'm going to go. I'm going to first turn off that drop layer. Let's go bring out our layers panel here. So I'm going to turn off the 3D drop layer, and I'm looking at the background now. I'm going to select the top layer. I don't want to merge these 2 layers together in the event I want to adjust the reflection. So I'm going to hold down the Option key, always on Windows, and go into the layer menu here and choose Merge Visible, and that creates a merged layer. So it doesn't flatten the image. It preserves the layers as you can see, but it merges them all into a new layer.
One.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, and that I'm going to take and just do a Command A, select all, and then Command C, copy it to the clipboard. And go and turn it off. So now I'm going to go reactivate the 3D layer. And now that image is saved in the clipboard. So now we're going to apply it as an IBL, but I first want to set up the surface of the object itself. Now when you're creating an object that's going to reflect something 100%, like when you're creating a chrome or a metal effect, you want the base diffuse color of the object to be solid black. Because if it's white like it is now, you won't see the detail of the reflection very well. It'll be really blown out. So I'm going to go into the Properties panel. You notice I've got the drop material selected here in 3D. Properties panel, go to the Diffuse property and simply choose Edit Texture. And so there is the document. So I'm just going to fill it with black. And once I do, there you can see the wireframe of the drops themselves. So if I bring the opacity up, so there you go. So that's the drops. So now I'll close that and save the changes. So now the drop is solid black with a little bit of a specular, and that's from the default light that's on the image there. So now let's go to the environment property. And in the properties panel, there's that IBL setting. We'll remember that from yesterday. I'm going to click on here and simply choose New Texture. And it will remember the dimensions in the clipboard, so go ahead and click OK. So all it does is create the document. You still got to go back in the menu and choose Edit Texture to reopen it again. And now I'm simply going to paste my image in there. And I'm just going to close that and save the changes. Now, we don't see anything happen yet, and that's because by default, the reflection of the object is set to 0%. So keep that in mind. So over here, we're going to take the shine and reflection in the properties panel to 100%. And there we go. So there's our reflection on the surface. Now, I don't want to move the dot around, but if I want to move the reflection around, remember when you have the environment selected, you can click and drag and move around the reflection on.
Okay, directly
on that dot there. So do something like. So I'm trying to keep it where referencing the photo. So I want to keep the objects in. Yeah. So that ghosting you see around the ghost there. If you remember, if you were watching the other day, I talked to, or actually it was yesterday when I talked about IBLs. I think it was the day before yesterday. Anyway. An IBL is a sphere, and like an invisible sphere around the object that has an image, like a translucent image, and it's the light shines through that and reflects on your object. So that ghosting you're seeing is that sphere. So you can, as you move it around, so you're just moving it. So it's not permanently there; it just gives you a visual aid to help position that. And when you go and reselect another layer, there you can see the reflection looks a little bit more realistic, reflecting the environment properly. So you can play with that a little bit, but now all I need to do is, I'm just going to soften up that shadow a little bit. Let's do 20. And then start a render. And I just do the keyboard shortcut for the render, and that's Shift-Option-Command-R, and it just starts it. So there, that's looking really good. Now, one last thing I want to do is, of course, put the reflection on the ground plane, because if I've got this wet look on the ground plane, you'd expect the drop to be reflecting as well.
Yeah.
So
we have a question by Angelo. So usually when you light go through water, does it invert the image, or how would you handle it?
Well, that's if I'm going for a true water effect. See, this is not a translucent water drop. That is a little bit trickier to make it look. It does have a refraction feature where if you have some transparency in a 3D object, and you have some refraction, that's a little bit tricky. And I actually considered that, but I didn't get that far. I was playing with this last night, and I was like, I'm tired, I'm done. But
so we just keep the shape of the drop.
So right now, this is more. Think of this more as a liquid metal drop, not so much a water drop.
Science fiction.
But
object floating.
But if you're going for a water effect, then yeah, you could simply drop the diffuse opacity. But you gotta tweak a few things, and then you got to apply the background photo. Notice it's just a regular layer right now here in Photoshop. You've got to apply that to the scene because it can't refract the image if it's not in the 3D environment with the drop there. And right now it's not. It's just sitting on the backdrop there. So the short answer is yes, you can do it. It's just a little bit more involved there. Perhaps I'll do a tutorial on that a little bit more detailed a little bit later, on a later date. But back to this, to get the environment on the ground plane, you want to go select environment right here in the 3D panel, and this is where we, of course, adjusted the IBL and such like that. But down here under ground plane, we've got a reflection. And I'm just going to bump that up to, oh, maybe not 75. Let's do 50. Now,
where is it?
That's and that's the gotcha here. You don't see it, and that's why it's a little deceptive because it looks like the dot is right there in that scene. But if I actually grab it and push it back, you'll see there's the reflection right there, because it was actually closer to us than we realized there. So by pushing it back, we can see the reflection. Now I'm just going to scale it up.
Oh, okay.
And then there's the dot sitting right there on it. So you got to make sure your positioning on your ground plane is right. So if you've got your reflection on and you're not seeing it, consider that. Try pushing the object back. Don't push the camera back, but push the object back, and you'll see the reflection eventually there.
So I have a question for you watching this. So you know in Photoshop there is a timeline, so you can create like a animated GIF, for instance. And usually we take a layer and we can play with the position of the layer, and say from 0 you are here, and after 2 seconds you are here, and it will calculate.
Just do a keyframe
interpolation. Can you do that with 3D properties? So we could do like having a drop like floating like this.
You well, not like that would need some easing, like After Effects does, because you want the fluid movement.
Yeah.
It does do keyframe animation in Photoshop, but it's very jerky for that sort of thing. But what you can do, and you gave me this idea, the IBL, you can actually apply a movie clip as an IBL. So you can actually have the reflection moving.
Oh.
Yeah. So if it's static, so for instance, you could create a cool animated GIF by putting a looping video as an IBL on a reflected object. And like that. So,
nice.
So if we got time later, maybe I'll show you that, because I've actually done that with text. I'll take a 3D text effect, and then I'll animate the IBL, and it looks like there's just this glistening effect on the text itself, even though it's static. So
nice.
That's something you can definitely do. But I'm just gonna go ahead and start the render now that I've got reflection, everything looking good. But that's pretty much it. That's how I put that together. It's just like one idea leads to another. I thought, hey, I got this cool reflective environment. Why don't I add a 3D object in there?
Just one picture you took with your smartphone yesterday.
And this was taken with my iPhone. Yeah. Walking along the down the street yesterday and just look down an alley. So that's my whole point. Be on the lookout. If you're, I mean, it's such a great time now to be a creative because you have a phone and you have you have the access to take a picture on the spot. So when you're out there looking around, just you see something, take a picture. There was a time I would use because obviously mobile photography's gotten much better, but in the early days, the photos weren't that great, and I would just simply take them for reference shots. But now I'm finding that I'm using a lot of my iPhone shots in my actual work, so it's actually working out really well. So, but that was really cool. So, all right, so before we go to the next one, is any question? Oh, we got more people showing up.
Oh, you know what this is?
Wow,
this is the Wheelgate. The Wheelgate is with. So there is a YouTuber. His name is Will Patterson. He has been a guest twice on Adobe Live. He's a lettering artist. So I guess he was live on YouTube and asked his followers, his viewers, to join this stream and say hi with the Wheelgate. Okay, good job, Will. We got you. It worked.
That's awesome.
Nice. Thanks for joining, everyone. So I guess you were following Will, who is a lettering artist. And now it's something completely different that we are doing with Corey. We're still live with Corey for 1 hour and 30 minutes. And it's, he's playing in Photoshop, compositing, but adding 3D objects. So this could be interesting for you also. Lettering.
All right, so I'm actually going to save this since I did it again.
Nice.
So that was really cool. So that's just something fun to do with your mobile photography and stuff like that.
And I see Naomi. Hi, Naomi.
This one's a cool one. So since we're on the topic of mobile photography, I'll show you how creative you can really get. So this.
How did you know? I didn't know that we would have like an invasion like this from Will. But I see Will gets. I'm like, I only know. There's just one Will who is live on YouTube. just one. But yeah, thanks for joining.
Corey
Gate. Now let's start the Corey Gate. Okay, so new example. What do you want to do?
New one. So that shot I took was actually a pretty good one of the alley. This one is also an iPhone shot. I took from the plane. I actually took off from Vegas a couple years ago, and I just liked the way the desert looked and the sky and everything like that. But when I finally got home and looked at the shot, I'm like, And I was like, this is just not good. But I'll just show you the final here. So I ended up taking the. I'll show you how I created it, but also we'll go ahead and just show the final. And that is. No, that's not it. Yeah, here it is. So just took it and really made it look like a cool sci-fi-ish kind of poster with a little trailing effect of the star. And make it look like it was a rocket ship. It was just like leaving Earth. But one thing that really helped this work in Photoshop, and I know Terry over there is a big fan of this one, is dehaze. So I looked at this image. I'm like, if there's ever a perfect candidate for dehaze, it is this one. So
Terry, he dehazes everything now.
Yeah.
Everything. People, he dehazes people. Coffee cups.
All that. All right. So So I'm going to go ahead and let's adjust it. All right, so I'm going to actually use the camera raw filter in this case. So you go to the filter menu, and right up here on the top there you see camera raw filter. And what we're going to do is I'm going to jump right over to effects first, and here's the dehaze setting. So I'm going to really bump it up so you can see just by doing this, just by nudging that slider up, already makes a huge impact on how that photo looks. So that's when I first saw this feature demoed, I'm like, I'm gonna have so much fun with it. But
when was it? Was it less than 2 years ago? I think so. 2 years ago max, no? Yeah, 2 years. Yeah.
And it's what's fun about it, especially if you're a creative and you do a lot of compositing, you can go both ways with it. You can add haze to a shot, and you can remove it for a really contrasting, cool effect there. So.
Oh yeah, you did the dehaze sneak. I remember that. So yeah, I remember
very nice. So
And to add haze. Yeah. In
So-
San Francisco, they add haze all the time
Oh yeah.
on all pictures. In the
They-
morning, you take a picture, you have haze
Adds
by default.
If you wait, you'll just get
So
some on your,
foggy.
naturally.
What is dehaze? So this is a setting. Haze is in English. I didn't know what it was, when I discovered the feature. So it's
Yeah.
like a fog or mist. It's what it.
Yeah,
in
if
the
you've got
air.
really, I mean, the point really is, I guess, if you got really underexposed images, you're able to bring some stuff back. Or if it's just really light, it's a very, very bright day or something like that. But it's in Camera Raw and Lightroom. Is that
And
correct?
Lightroom, yeah.
And Lightroom. So it's in
and Lightroom Mobile.
and Lightroom. Okay, yes, Lightroom
So
mobile as well.
so if you get Lightroom Mobile on iPhone, Android, you have dehaze also. You can directly apply it to your mobile pictures.
So
And it's different from Clarity. Yeah, it's not the same algorithm, William. So although
No.
it might look very similar, but it's not the same. Dehaze will.
it's
will
a lot
be-
more extreme,
Yeah.
but I really like the result, and it's one of those features that you'll try on almost every image, because I know there's a handful of features in Photoshop that I get and I just go nuts with. I'll try it, like what was when Refine Edge first came out. I went nuts with Refine Edge because I came from the old school way of using channels to make selections, especially with hair and such like that. And I still use those techniques, but Refine Edge, I was blown away and just was going nuts selecting stuff, even stuff I didn't really necessarily need to select. So.
Hi, Jan Eric. Thanks for joining. Yeah, the dehaze function. Yeah, we're still working on it, but.
All right, so
coming.
I've applied my dehaze. I'm going to jump over here to the basic tab, and we're going to do some other adjustments here. So I'm going to dial down the exposure a little bit. Here's where that clarity slider is. It does do a change, but it's not nearly as extreme as dehaze is a lot more aggressive in making that adjustment. Clarity is a lot more subtle with it. So.
And Spencer is asking, is there going to be an update for better utilization of CPU and RAM for Lightroom? Yes. So, and in terms of photography, you will see a lot of updates actually very soon this year for the photography tools. This is something we sneaked at Max. Also a project called Nimbus. So yeah, stay tuned, Spencer. But in 2017, you will see a lot of changes for photographers in our tools with much better workflows.
So that's it. I mean, so if I just Command Z, look at the difference. All I did
my
was
God.
run the dehaze and a little bit of adjusting with the other Camera Raw features, but huge difference there, just saving that photo there. So that's looking really good. So I'm gonna actually create another document to build my final image in. So let's go ahead and take this and drag it on over. Now I don't want to use the whole image. You'll see that there's some roads here and there's a highway right there.
Oh yeah.
So I don't really want to have that. So I'm actually gonna scale it down, and because this big crater or whatever, that dry lake, I guess it is, I kind of want that in the center here because I just think that's got a really cool look to it. So let's position it right about there. And then,
do you think it was like a meteorite? Maybe at some point it was like
a crater,
a crater.
possibly.
Like
Yeah.
a-
Maybe it was a crater, then it
asteroid.
filled up with water, then it dried up, and we went out to this dry lake when I was in Vegas once and did some shooting, and it was like it's amazing because you never realize how much light pollution keeps you, and especially in cities, keeps you from seeing this.
Sky.
You'll see stars in the sky when you're in a city,
Yeah,
but
right.
when you remove the light, when you go way out where there's no light
In the
to
dark,
look at, it's amazing how much of the Milky Way and such you can
Oh,
see.
yeah.
Blew me away because I'd always grown up in or around cities.
Yeah, me too.
And when we went out there, I was just in a daze just looking at the sky. It was just amazing to see that out there. We were about 45 miles outside of Vegas, so you could still see the glow of Vegas, but it wasn't enough to ruin our view there. So if you ever get a chance to really go out in the middle of nowhere, don't be scared. But we brought plenty of water and all that stuff. We had a really great time, though. But yeah, it's really amazing. So I'm just gonna I threw a layer mask on this layer. I'm gonna fade the top here because I dragged it down and repositioned it. So I'm just gonna put a little fade right here like that. Well, maybe not. I want to have a little bit of that edge of the atmosphere. There we go. Now I want to bring in another image that actually has some really good clear stars in it. So I'm gonna get, and this is a stock image as well, this one right here. I just really like the star field. And I like that really bright one right there. I'm actually going to use that in this, so let's go ahead and bring that on over. And
As you are bringing the sky, yeah, I will check Twitter. We will review after this building this picture. We will review what you shared on Twitter with the Adobe Live hashtag. And yeah, so feel free to share what you are working on in Photoshop, any kind of composition with 3D, without 3D, with dehaze, without.
So I brought that starry sky in, and I've positioned the bright star right in the middle here. And again, I put a fade on it like I did the other one, but this time I put the fade on the bottom. So that's looking really good. So now, when I got to this point, I was thinking like, well, the star is kind of cool. What if it was maybe like a spaceship or a rocket that just took off? So using the magic of brushes, because I'm a big fan of the brush engine in Photoshop, I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer here at the top and get my brush tool. Now I'm going to use a brush that's already built into Photoshop. If I just hover over it, maybe the name will show up. So there it is. It's per stroke brightness variance. That's the name of the brush, really? Okay.
So technical.
So it's right next to the pencil here. So it's actually just kind of this cool little smudgy brush. But if you go into the brush options, and if you never really experimented with the brush option panel, go in there and just goof around with it. Because even to this day, well, I won't say three. I was going to say two of my favorite features, but I love 3D. That's one. But the brush engine and layer styles, awesome stuff. I'm still discovering stuff. You think you get to a point where you think of everything, but no, it's still some really cool stuff. So in here, we're going to begin by spacing out the brush a little bit. So you can just get a brush tip shape, space it out. No, I don't want to do scattering. No, I don't want to do that at all. I do want to do angle jitter here a little bit. Flip X, flip Y. Let's get as much randomization as we can. Color dynamics. I do want to have it kind of mix with the black and white here. So I'm just going to take the foreground and background jitter and put it at about 10 or 15%. And if I just paint a little bit, you can see, look, so that's got already a cool little smoke trail going on there.
My God.
So, gonna take that and just start
That's good. I mean, for our friends also, who are used to lettering and who joined the stream watching Will Patterson, you can do lettering with clouds, in the sky.
You can do
using this kind of brush.
Here's a crazy pilot going on here, but so I'm just gonna start here at the little star itself and just kind of brush down a little trail, a little smoke trail, like it came out of the mist here.
Wow.
So there's our little rocket ship leaving Earth. So, and let's go ahead and enhance the thrust of the rocket with a little lens flare. Now I've got some cool lens flare brushes
you do lens
here.
flare with brushes?
Yeah, I actually have a small collection of little lens flares that I like to use here. I've defined as brushes. So if I go right here and just go, boop, there we go. There's our little Starman leaving Earth.
Nice.
But go ahead. Now I'm going to get an adjustment layer here. Let's go and do levels and punch up the contrast there quite a bit. And then I wanted to add one more element to this. I just wanted to add like a streak of, a shooting star or meteor or like that. So here's a cool little trick for that. So again, I'm going to get my brush tool and just get a regular round brush. Make it very small. Like that. And in the brush options here, I'm going to go to shape dynamics. And I'm going to turn on pen pressure here, and you'll want to do this regardless of whether or not you're using a pen tablet, because you can actually simulate pressure with how I'm about to apply this. So I got a little streak there. Okay, that's what I'm going for. But I want to get like just a nice little arch, like it just kind of it's curving in and falling to earth. I can't really do that freehand with a stroke. I'm good, but I'm not that good. But I'm going to use a path. So
and you can apply a brush stroke on a path?
Exactly.
Nice.
So I'm just going to start a path here and then just give it a little bit of an arch like that.
Okay.
And that's it. So now I'm going to go to the paths panel. And this is another one of those features I discovered years and years ago. But when I discovered you can apply a brush, not just a variety of brushes right to a path itself. Now, of course, I need to make sure I got a new layer. Let's create a new blank layer. And path is selected. Oh, it didn't. It created a shape layer, not a path. All right, let me undo that.
So when you select the tool.
All right, so up here you got to change the tool mode. It created a shape layer, which is why it wasn't showing up in the paths panel. So we want to make sure we're drawing a path. So let's do that again. There we go. And then on that blank layer in the paths panel, so there's that work path. Go to the pop-up menu here and simply choose stroke path. Use the brush, and here is where the simulate pressure is. So you want to check that on, but it will not do it unless you have pen pressure activated over in the brushes. So brush, simulate pressure, and then boom.
Wow.
There. Now it's a little thick, so let's go back to the brush and size it down, maybe a couple more. And then once you've applied it, you don't have to go into the menu again. If you're using the same brush, just hit this little icon at the bottom here, second one, and boom, there you go. And then I'll just bring the opacity back a little bit. And then you just put on a little text. Leaving Earth. Coming soon to a theater near you. I'll do something like that. But anyway, so there we go. That's rescuing an iPhone shot and then getting really creative with it, putting together a really cool sci-fi image. So pretty neat stuff there. And that was actually an older iPhone. That was probably an iPhone 5 shot. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So even back then, it was giving me some pretty decent. I mean, it's a little grainy compared to what you're getting out of iPhone now, but still, it actually worked out really good. So now, all right. So before we go to the next thing, is there any questions popping up? Has anybody put any requests in yet or anything?
Yeah, maybe we can check also on Twitter what they shared. So we invite you to share what you create in Photoshop on Twitter, adding @WeLab as a hashtag.
So we have Nate who has been very active in the chat. He is using Photoshop Mix and Fix.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
That's cool.
Oh, it's with some dirt on the screen.
Like somebody said, show the most intricate thing in 3D you can. And I was like, we don't have that kind of time. I won't show. I can't show technique, but I will show you this because this I forgot to show yesterday when I was talking about Pixel Squid, and I said that they've got a lot of Star Wars images. This I actually did. This was done in Photoshop using Pixel Squid.
Oh, yeah.
So this is my little tribute to Rogue One, but
Wow, it was so cool.
So all these models, the walkers, the ships, everything, all these are Pixel Squid. And I just combine them in a variety of ways. Now, the stormtroopers, you'll actually, if you notice, the stormtroopers there's only 2 versions of stormtroopers in this image. But the way you flip them around and move them around in 3D space, it looks like they're all in different positions, but they're actually only 2 positions there. You see the guys on the ends here are in the same position, but they're at different angles, so sells it a little bit better. But this just shows you how really ambitious you can get with the Pixel Squid models and such like that. So, but if I zoom in here, you can actually see I used
So great.
these splashes are actually Adobe
pictures?
stock splashes that I found, and then composited them in there, and then I blended the water to show the reflections and their feet a little below the water line and everything like that, just to give that. And I added splashes, of course, over here by the feet of the. And these splashes here by the feet are just a brush. I took a splash element and defined it as a brush, and then I just
used for the clouds.
And then I just painted, just dabbed a couple of splashes, So anytime you've got an effect like that, be it a flare or a splash, it's a good idea to make them as brushes because you can actually just get really creative and paint them around. And
just one picture I want to show you. It's a tribute to your work. To what you shared with us like 2 days
there's
ago.
a Felix project. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, my first
Excellent.
composition with Adobe Felix.
Good blending with the water and the sky. And
good work.
Very nice.
So if you want to know more about Project Felix, it's a new app, still in beta, but available in Creative Cloud, Windows and Mac. And watch the replay from day one because Corey, you did like 2 hours of live just using Project Felix.
Yeah,
and
we went really crazy with Felix there. And a little bit of Photoshop with it, combining some of Photoshop and Felix, so you can really get a good workflow there.
So Bavin was
I see they added
following
a
us,
label in there as well.
Yeah.
Very nice, good stuff.
Good job, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can see, that render. Look at the quality of that render. I mean, that's one of Felix's biggest pluses. Is
here.
It's got such a great render engine. You're going to get some really great detail out of it.
You see, that did the
logo. And it's just a little bumps and everything like that. And it's just all the specular highlights. Very, very cool stuff. So good job on that one.
Yeah.
So. Okay, no transparency for feet.
Yeah,
there is. Yeah, you can see the feet in there.
Show your fans your smudge brush technique.
What's that?
Like Larry's asking, show your fans your smudge.
My smudge brush. I have a few of those.
What is it? What do you do with a smudge brush?
I actually have done a lot of things with smudge brush. Can you be more specific?
Oh yeah, he will.
Larry, can you?
Larry, we need more information.
Just if there's something specific you're talking about, just write it in there. And can you show my Adobe Live submission?
Yes, Jan Eric, but I can't find
Can
it.
we show
Can
it?
you remind me?
No, I refuse. No.
Remind me
No,
what is
we'll find it.
your Twitter handle?
Star Wars views. I actually have another Star Wars one I'll show you. This is... I think I still have it. Oh, there it is.
Oh, here we go. Sorry. So Jan Eric, he wants you to give some critique on this one. He spent the full day watching you and creating this.
Oh, wow.
Made in Pixel Squid. Oh,
Yeah, I can see the Death Star and the
And
ships
Photoshop.
And that's really nice. Very good. The flares adds good dramatic. I call them JJ flares. And if you've seen any JJ Abrams movie, you know what I mean by that. But
or Andrew Kramer.
exactly. But that's great. Really good job there. That's really well done. The lighting and the motion of the TIE fighters. That's really good. I like that a lot. Yeah. The blur is just enough to sense that. I've seen people, they try motion blurs and they just get a little too crazy with it.
It's too much.
Yeah. So that's just enough to really give that sense of motion. So excellent job on that. Good.
Yeah. Good job,
stuff.
Jan Eric.
Yeah. So, do we ever get the space spikes? I'm still lost.
The space spikes. It must be a tutorial you made. No?
Space
You don't
spikes?
remember the space spikes? You recorded too many videos.
Being very mysterious here,
Yeah, it's
Larry.
true. Larry, we don't.
Although it's
sorry.
probably something obvious the moment I see it. Space, but I'm not.
Sorry, we don't get it.
I'm not. All right. Well, I'll try and remember in the next few minutes here. I just want to show this though. This is another
Ooh.
pixel squid, but this was done using the technique I showed you yesterday, which was this is actually a bonus part of the tutorial I gave away. It's the dramatic lighting using the fuse character and then creating that shadow effect. I did the same thing here, but instead of it being a fuse character, it's a Star Wars character. And then I just created, actually the pattern is actually from the Star Wars movie. I actually Googled, if you Google Star Wars light pattern, it actually shows, there's a graphic that shows up, and it's just that cool little grid pattern. So I just pulled that from Google Images.
So many details.
And then applied that as the shadow image. In this case, it's reversed because the light has to come through the hole, so I had to invert it, and you have to knock out the holes of the layer, place the light above it, and then you just get a cool dramatic light showering down through there. So that's how you get that really cool effect.
That's great.
So just another way of using the lighting and dramatic with the painting brush.
And yes, Philippe, I mean, everyone, again, if you want to share what you are working on now, just post it on Twitter and add Adobe Live as a hashtag. It's the only way for me to catch it.
I'm really sorry, Larry. I'm just I know it's a paint, and I know there's a lot of cool things I've done with the smudge tool, but I'm not knowing specifically what you're talking about.
So Creative Agency, if you want to see how Corey made this picture, first it's part of the tutorial you shared on your website.
Which one?
The one with
the Star Wars one I just showed?
Yeah. And also if you watch the stream, was it yesterday's stream, day 2, he created a picture with a woman, standing next to a wall with the light.
It was this.
Yeah, it was this one, which is more or less the same technique, using Adobe Fuse in this case. So I invite you to watch the replay from yesterday, and you will get how to make it happen.
This still has the 3D layer in it. Oh yeah, so yeah, I'll just.
Oh, nice.
So I'll just show you. This actually is still got the 3D layer. So let me turn off the character here in the front. And I'm actually going to grab my camera. Let's get the current view here. There it is. And let's push this back.
Oh, great, Creative Agency. Juan Garcia, animated GIF with 3D art made in Photoshop. Is it possible? That's what we were talking about. I don't know if 3D properties such as 3D positions become keyframe.
You can actually animate 3D objects. It's a little tricky. It really depends on the extent of the animation you're going for. And obviously, with an animated GIF, it's very simple and short. So the short answer is yes, you can. But there are some things you gotta keep in mind. But you can do things I told him. Like we were talking about earlier, you can apply a movie as an IBL. You can also apply a movie as a texture on a file. Like I've created a cube, and I've put movies on each face of the cube, and it will play. Now, it'll sit there and static and play those movies on there. You can render it through the timeline. However, if you put all those movies on the faces of a cube and then try to animate the cube, now you're going into some serious territory. Now it will do that, but you better have a seriously powerful machine if you're going to tackle that sort of thing. So, and that's something I always tell people is there are certain things Photoshop does pretty well with animations and stuff like that. But if you're definitely serious about doing motion graphics, After Effects is where you want to go. Yeah, that definitely will give you and there's some good integration with Photoshop and After Effects, so you can really get some good stuff. And you can do 3D. There's that Cinema 4D Lite.
Yep.
That's bundled with. So Adobe After Effects comes with Cinema 4D Lite, which is a scaled down version, but allows you to implement 3D text and such like that into After Effects. So it's really cool.
Larry's trying to be more specific.
The smudge brush used. Yes, I know exactly the technique you're talking about, but I'm wondering the specific example you want me to do, because I've used it for,
many times
for different types of effects and everything like that. So I know exactly what you're talking about. If there's a specific effect, the smudge brush used to make spikes with the finger. Yes, I know.
Yeah, I know. We know the tool. We know what.
You know what? I think I know what I might show with that, but after I show this real quick. I think I know what you mean, Larry.
That's good.
So what I did here is I just pushed back on the camera for this Star Wars background, and I'll just rotate my view here so you can see. So there's that pattern, that light pattern. It's just a simple black graphic with the holes knocked out, and then I've got that point light. See that little yellow ball right there? It's just a point light resting above it, and that's what's casting the shadow on that backdrop behind it. And then when you zoom in on it and move all that stuff out of frame,
that's great.
You've got a nice, cool. Now, if I go and grab the light, the point light, and just use the 3D tool to move it around, there you can change the angle of the shadow. So if I move it closer to the wall, it gets longer. If I move it further away, it gets even. So again, you control the lighting of the environment just by moving the light around like that. So.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
So Lindsay, are there any plans for motion graphic live sessions? Yeah, so on Adobe Live, we will be live every 2 weeks. Okay, Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday. So the next one within 2 weeks is about graphic design. Then there is one about live illustration to print T-shirts. And then in March, the first one in March will be about motion design, motion graphics, and animation. So yeah, this is coming soon.
Somebody's asked about the code from yesterday from Master X.
Oh, to get your tutorial, I guess.
When you go to my site, and it's actually one of the first things I put it on the forefront there.
Maybe?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Gotta switch over. Okay, there we go. So if you go, and if you're watching, you'll get. I'll just go ahead and say the code again. So right here on the main page, there's this. I've got this thing called Adobe Live stuff. So you go that, you just click on this access with code, and I'm already logged in, but when you hit that, it's going to bring you to the checkout page like you would normally do, and there's a link to redeem code.
Redeem code.
So click redeem code and then enter Adobe Live Corey, and then you'll be able to access that little bundle for free.
Adobe Live Corey, all caps, one word.
All caps, one word, yep. Cool, all right, so while we do that, I'll see what I've got next. Oh, here's a kind of a fun one, all right.
And see, Josh Wall, sorry, I don't have any email reminder mechanism yet, but I'm working on it on Adobe Live. Yeah. This is coming.
Motion design, yes, amazing. Blah, 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 blah. Correct, yeah.
The best way is to subscribe maybe to the Adobe Creative Cloud YouTube channel and enable notifications. So you know every time we are live, if we push a new video with Corey talking about Felix.
Go to a bundle unless I put a price on it. So if you I will look you up, and I will go ahead and refund that 30. Go ahead and use the code.
Maybe you can find Corey on Twitter and check that.
But I'll check that after I'm off air today, and I'll fix that for you. So be sure to do that. All right, and then just make sure you use when you go back and re-sign in, use the code, and it won't be charging you at all. So, all right. Any other questions before I jump to the next thing?
Yeah. Next picture. Let's do it. So that's the easiest way. So make sure to subscribe to the Creative Cloud YouTube channel.
Jan says accidentally paid. Yeah, I had to put a price on the object. I can't apply a code. All right. This one is kind of a fun one with I want to do the color one. You know what? I know what I'm going to do. What time is it? We're almost halfway. All right, since the Super Bowl is almost upon us, I thought we'd do a cool 3D thing and build the Lombardi Trophy. You know, the cool chrome football with the stand and everything like that. So actually, I'm going to do that using another Adobe stock image, or Adobe stock model, rather. And where did
What's the name of the trophy? Lombardi?
Lombardi, Lombardi.
Yeah, let me see how it looks. Oh, yeah. This one or this one?
Yeah, that one.
This one,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, yeah, like on the black. Yeah, but so that's it. So
Okay, I will just show it because if you have people from Europe like me, who are not very familiar with the Super Bowl. So
okay.
So that's the trophy he will build.
So that's the big trophy for the NFL. But there's a really cool way to create it quickly and easily here inside of Photoshop. And like I said, we're going to be using another Adobe stock thing. Now, I did this tutorial a couple years ago, but I did it from scratch, and it was kind of cool. But now that you've got these models, so here on the Adobe Stock 3D page, we've got some sports items. We've got a soccer ball, and so there's a football. So I went ahead and downloaded that, and of course, there's all the assets in here, and of course, football OBJ is the.
So what we were saying is that if I import this in Felix, it will look like
it'll look like what you just saw on the stock page. It has the full texturing and normal maps in it, so it comes in fully rendered as it is intended.
But the OBJ is clean, just the shape.
And no, it'll actually open up in this case because this has got a folder with the texture in it now. So some models will have these full textures that will translate over to Photoshop, and some of them don't. Like the drop a minute ago, you take the drop open and it was just a solid fill, and it's up to you to address it that way. But in this particular case, I'm going to go and open up this football in Photoshop, and let's go and do 2000. And depending on the complexity of a model in an OBJ file, it may take a minute. So there is. Let me close this. There's my football. So now let's get our 3D and properties panels here. But this also illustrates well that you don't have to take a 3D model like this as it is. You can actually modify it and change it the way you want it. So, for instance, I'm going to grab my current view. So let's rotate around here and have a look at this. So you can see it's just a regular looking football, full texture and everything like that. But we're going to change it. So the first thing I noticed is that there's a lot of elements that make up this football. You can see that there's the seams, which if I grab the widget here, so there's it's the threading basically between the sections there. So we're not going to need that in this case. So I'm actually going to trash that part of the 3D model. And then we've got the nipple. I think that's funny. That's just a little air nozzle where you inflate the ball. We'll leave that alone for now. And then we've got the ball itself, the laces out. Who knows that reference?
Again?
You know?
Which
you
one?
don't know. All right.
What is the reference?
Laces out. The football.
Laces out.
Who on the channel? Jim Carrey.
When?
Y'all are young. I know. I know.
In a movie or?
Yeah, it was Ace Ventura.
Oh.
Yeah, remember Laces Out? All right. I guess I've just dated myself. Sorry. All right. All right. So there's the laces and everything. All right. So we want to remove all the original coloring and texturing on the ball. So I'm actually going to select the football. I love how it's named, football ball. So we're going to select the material of the ball itself. Now we're going to go into the properties panel to diffuse, of course. Let's start there. Go to edit texture, and there is, let me bring the opacity here. So there's the flattened out artwork of the football itself, So we don't really need it all that detail at all. We don't need any detail at all. What we do want to do is make it solid black. Remember what I talked about a minute ago with the drop? I want to create a reflection metal like the trophy looks. So we're going to make our base color just solid black. So I'm just going to do a black fill there, close it, and save the changes. There we go.
Oh, but then you have the. Yeah.
So yeah, we've got the texture on there, which is the normal map that is already applied to it. So that is located right down here. Same properties panel right here at the bottom.
Normal. Okay.
So you got normal right here. And what a normal is basically when you have an object that has a very natural texture, like a football like this, it makes it take the light the right way. So anytime you position a light, the texture is behaving like it was. Very similar to a bump map. Bump map and a normal map are kind of the same thing, but a normal map is a little bit more involved in its creation. This one obviously has already been applied by default to the model. We're just going to go ahead and take it and remove it altogether. So we got a nice smooth surface on the football there. So now we need to go ahead. Now we need to do the laces. The laces, we need to go ahead and make those black. So let's choose to edit that texture.
Full black.
Fill that with full black. There we go.
Okay.
The ball itself, the patches. Not sure what the patches are, but we'll go ahead and make sure they're filled with black as well. Cool. All right. So there is our ball, and of course it's reflecting the default IBL, which we're going to change in just a little bit.
And Nate, the football.
This football.
It comes from Adobe stock.
This was from Adobe stock. Yes, exactly. So there's a lot of really cool sports gear and stuff in there, and so this was from there. So now we've got all the surfaces adjusted for the ball here. So let's reset default camera. And then I'm actually going to go ahead and build the second element in this same document. So I'm going to make a new layer here. And of course, when you look at you still have the image of the original?
I can find it.
All right, well, you know what? I don't know if I have it. But.
Oh, that's fine. I got it here.
So if you look at the base, and I actually had to do a lot of different research for this, but it's just this kind of triangular shape. And it kind of tapers as it goes up into the ball itself. So it just gets a 3-point triangle in a sense, because it comes back to that point in the back.
Oh, it's just 1 point here, you mean?
Yeah, so it's got that, and it's not a flat face. It's slightly curved, and it's basically a triangle that just kind of extrudes up into the ball itself. So, knowing that, let's go. And I'm just going to set a background fill on this there. So I've already got this set up. So what you're going to do is go to the toolbar, and you're going to get the polygon tool here, because it allows you to create a shape with multiple sides. And up here in the options bar, you go way over here to the right side, and you'll see the number of sides you can add. So we obviously want 3 sides on our object here. But right next to that, you see this little gear icon at the top. I'm going to click on that, and here's you have some more specific features. So we're going to make it a star, and we want to indent the sides by 25%. And if I draw this out, that gives us that triangular shape. And the lines are just slightly curved inside, just as it is on the actual trophy. So you've got to kind of think about it in this kind of profile way, like you're looking at it from the bottom in a sense. And that's how you got to think about it when you create the shape. So I'm actually going to draw this out a little bit bigger. Rotate it like that. There we go. I'm going to scale it down just a little bit. There we go. Okay. So now I want to go ahead and make it a 3D object. So I'm going to go ahead and select this layer at the top, this empty layer I created. And let's just give it a base color fill. In this case, I'm just going to do 50% gray. There we go.
Okay.
And
what's the path?
Oh, where did it go? That's weird. It's not. Oh, it is a shape layer again. Good grief. So I used the pen tool earlier, but now I'm using the shape tool, and it's still set to shape. Duh. I know. All right. So I got to switch that to path. There we go. Okay. There we go.
It would be nice to say just convert to path. Yeah.
Actually, I think it can, but
yeah,
it's probably just as quick to just delete it and redraw it again too.
It's okay.
All right, so now we're good. All right, so I'm on the layer now. Let's give the fill. So there's the path stays there. All right, so now with the path selected and that layer selected, you're going to go to 3D, new 3D extrusion from selected path. And it's going to go ahead and extrude that shape. So if I grab the camera and just rotate it slightly, there we go. So I need it to be actually sitting on the ground plane, you know, on its side there. So before I do that, let's increase the extrusion amount. There we go. And with the object selected, I'm going to do this numerically. So I'm going to go over here into the Properties tab and select the Coordinates tab, which is this little cube at the end here. And here you can actually modify the angle on the X, Y, and Z axis. So if I want to rotate it exactly 90 degrees, I always forget which one is which.
On the blue one?
So is it the blue? Yeah, it's that top one. Okay. So we're going to go to the top, so X angle here, and just set that to 90. And then boom, it just rotates it around. Then I'm going to go to the little pop-up menu here in the 3D panel, just choose Move Objects to Ground Plane. And it snaps it to the ground, because you know it obviously was going under there for a little bit. So let's push our view out just a little bit here.
Philip is asking if did you use a keyboard shortcut to level the shape? I guess he means extrude the shape, or
No, I just, when I created the path and then I had the layer selected, you just go to 3D and new 3D extrusion, selected path.
Oh, in the 3D menu.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the 3D. You can use the 3D panel as well. I just used to using the menu, but here, if I have a new layer, you can see in the 3D panel, create new object from 3D. So you have all those same settings. It's just you can do it from within the panel. It really is a matter of preference. I just got the habit of using the menu. So it goes back to it's always those things. Several ways to do it in Photoshop.
Ooh,
So
we have Joke Man in the chat.
Joke Man.
Maybe we'll get some good jokes. Maybe.
There you go.
We'll see.
Better live up to his
Hi,
name,
Scott.
right? Yeah. So now back on our object here. So I'm going to rotate it so I'm looking at it from the side here because, of course, in the original trophy, it tapered, as it went up.
Yeah.
Fortunately, in Photoshop 3D, that
There's no
feature exists. If you go and select the object,
you scared me.
no, go to select the object, and then in the Properties panel, the second tab here is the Deform Properties. And right down here, the third one down, you have a taper feature. So if I just drop that down, now it's tapering the wrong end. So
we can do.
But it won't go. I actually want it to be smaller.
Do this and.
Well, I do want the top to be smaller than the original.
You can rotate it after.
Yeah, I know. So I could go bigger like this, but that means the top is a lot bigger than I want it to be. So I'm actually going to go ahead and bring it a little bit smaller.
Okay.
And then we're going to rotate this 180. There we go. So I went to the Z angle here.
Why?
And just did so it'll flip it. What direction is it? Oh, that way. Yeah. Let's see. Well, if we're looking at it from the front, let me undo that. So I'll show you. So
okay.
So now, okay. So there it is, sitting like it was a moment ago.
Mm-hmm.
And with the object selected, I'm going to go to that tab. So go to the Z and then 180, and that basically does a full rotation of it. So we're still looking at it from that front. It just did a rotation like this.
Mm-hmm.
So bless you. All right, so now it's sitting on the ground plane. It's tapering up and like that, so that's looking really, really good. So let's reset our camera view. Now, before I merge objects, I like to make sure that they are kind of in their default view, like you're looking at it from the front face. Because if you merge two 3D layers and the objects are in different angles and positions, it's going to be a nightmare to kind of straighten those up. So let's go back and turn back on the layer containing the football. There it is.
Actually, Pixel Squid is watching you.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Hey, Pixel Squid.
They just tweeted. I said, you should watch Curry. Yeah.
Yay.
We're using your plugin. It's awesome. Thank you.
We had a lot of fun with Pixel Squid stuff yesterday.
Yeah.
So now we've got the two elements, of course, for our trophy on two different 3D layers, and now we need to merge them together. So I'm just going to go and select that top layer, press Command E. And when you merge objects together, you may notice, now actually I'm going to undo that because I wanted to do one more thing. So before I merged it, notice here, I'm going to twirl these in. So I'm selected on the layer containing the football itself. So notice it's made up of those several elements. I was talking about earlier with the ball and the shoelaces and everything like that. But I need to be able to treat this as one object. So one thing you can do is you can select all those mesh groups and then contain them in a group folder. This is kind of like layer groups, and that you can drop them into a folder. So now if I go and select the new group here, it will treat the object as one. So I won't have to do shift select every time I want to move the object around. So now with that being done, now I'm going to go ahead and merge these down, or merge them together rather. And let's find. Another curious thing with 3D is when you merge objects, you may notice things disappear on you. So like if I select the football, there it is. It's inside of this shape. So I'm going to scale it.
Ooh.
And nudge it up.
Okay. Is it tilted? I don't remember.
And yep, it's tilted. I'm going to use my ring widget here and just give it a little tilt.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. How are we looking there? That's not bad. Now the base, I'm actually going to squeeze it in here in the front just a little bit. Or I'm squeezing it on the that particular axis. So the x-axis here. So I'm scaling it on that specific axis to kind of squeeze it in a little bit. And again, like I said yesterday, when you're editing 3D, you want to rotate all the way around and really see how it's looking. at all angles. Even if you ultimately only see it at one angle in the final, you want to make sure it's looking good at all angles there. So that's actually not looking bad there. I'm actually going to nudge the base back just a little bit. Maybe even just the angle of the ball itself. There we go. So that's looking really cool. We got our own Lombardi trophy. So, but now we need it to reflect, have a cool reflection, because right now the default IBL is it's okay, but it needs to be a little bit more dramatic. So we need to first, of course, like we did with the ball, we made all the meshes solid black. Now we need to do that with this the base here, because what we're looking at is the extrusion. We're not looking at the front face or the back face, we're looking at the extruded part of it. So that in here in the 3D panel is right here, 3D extrusion. So we'll go in here and change that diffuse color. Fill it with black like before. There we go. Oh. And while I'm here on this material, I'm going to take the shine and reflection both to 100%. Same with the football. Let's select all these.
Let's put everything to the right.
Just move it. Yeah, slide to the right. So I'm actually going to hold down the shift key and select all the materials for the ball itself. Remember, it's broken up into different elements. And then I can just globally change those all together.
And yes, Juan Garcia, he's doing everything in Photoshop.
This is all Photoshop.
Yep.
Yep, all Photoshop.
Yep.
So as I move this around, you'll see that now all the surfaces are taking the light the way they're supposed to, but I'm still not happy with that particular IBL. So what I am going to use is, I'll show you, I downloaded some IBLs from Adobe Stock. You know, there's that category of lights, and you can actually download them the same way you can the models and open them up as PNGs here and apply them right to your 3D objects here. So I actually have a few here.
I have a question from Negar asking, do you work with any 3D modeling software yourself?
I do, outside of Photoshop, not really. I've dabbled in some Cinema 4D, but I definitely don't know what I'm doing in there. I would like to spend a little bit more time with it, but no, as of right now, most of my 3D has been using Photoshop and Felix, of course, now. So I'm going to go ahead and use, let's get this one here. Now, the cool thing about these light images, where's the one I just had? Oh, there it is. I'm going to actually open this up, and you'll see it's like a wide pano image. I'm actually going to use half of this. I'm going to crop this to the center here, just like that. And then I'm just going to go ahead and save this as a new.
And yes, we will do a giveaway after this example. And there will be 2 giveaways during this show, because Corey will also give you away
giving away a
one
year
access to all his tutorials.
So now I've got that. I cropped that light image and saved it to the desktop. So now back in here, I'm going to go to the environment property, go to IBL, and we'll choose replace texture. And there it is, image light. Click open. And then now we've got. Now, let me make my background black, so this will be a little bit more dramatic. There we go. So now if I grab my camera and move around, look how cool. We've got a really chrome Lombardi trophy. So now at this point, we want to really kind of pick a dramatic angle to present it in. So what we'll do is go to the current view, the camera settings, of course, and we're going to give it a much wider angle lens camera. So let's, right now it's 67 is the default. I'm going to drop this to like 30. And it drops it back, so let's bring it closer. Maybe rotate the camera angle a little bit. And what's the one more thing that'll make this awesome? The reflection. So we'll go to that environment property once more. Go to reflections. Let's do about 75% and add about a 10% roughness to it, so it dissipates as the reflection gets further away. It's a little grainy. So now, looking really good. I'm gonna add a little bit of a backdrop light in the back. Maybe a little bit brighter than that. There we go. And then let's just start a render and see what we're going to get here. The reflection's probably a little harsh, but I would probably go in and make some adjustments. But that's pretty much it.
That's great. Oh my
Just
God.
a couple of 3D objects, and you can create very realistic representation. Now, if you like an angle, remember, you can, if you pick an angle you like. Remember, you can move that IBL around by selecting the environment and then just change the way it's positioned. So you don't have to move the camera around to get the right lighting set up. You can actually position it the way you want and then move the light around itself.
Angelo is asking, can you control the IBL intensity?
Yes, indeed. Right over here, where you apply it, just below that, there's an intensity slider. So you can actually dial that down. And there's two ways to control that. You can dial down the intensity, or you could go into the document itself. Like, this is something I do all the time. Is I'll go to choose edit texture, unlock the layer, and then I'll put a black filled layer underneath it, and then I'll just dial down the opacity of the layer. Because these IBLs, these mesh documents, they all support layers. They're fully layered Photoshop files. You don't have to flatten them before you apply them. So by dropping that opacity down quite a bit, I'm lessening the intensity of the IBL itself, and then there you go.
No count zero. Cool. If you move the laptop, it won't change the light. No, it doesn't work this way though.
Luck.
So to celebrate this great sample, we will do a giveaway. We will give away 1 year Creative Cloud subscription to someone in the chat, so you will have a full access to Photoshop CC, and you will be able to try to reproduce this. I will ask you a question. Just have to type the answer in the chat, and then Nightbot will pick someone who gave the right answer randomly. And the question is, what is the name of this trophy? Okay, easy, yeah?
Name it.
Yeah, you mentioned the
it's
name
easy,
like several times, huh?
Mentioned it several, and we showed it to you, So. And it's about to become a big thing because the game's coming up. Very nice.
Type the name of this trophy, and then we will ask Nightbot to choose someone. Also, if you subscribe to the Creative Cloud YouTube channel, make sure to subscribe. It will give you 5 times more chances to win.
All right. So we're a little bit over halfway through. And I want to point out again, like I said at the beginning, in case anybody's forgetting, if something you want to see me do over again that you saw this week, or something new you haven't seen yet, and yes, I'm thinking about this smudge brush thing, Larry. I'll get to that. I'm actually trying to remember where I put a folder for that effect, so don't worry, I'm going to try to get to that. So that's one of them, of course. I'm working on that. So, oh, look there. It's raining Lombardis.
It's raining.
Good stuff. Look at that. Everybody's going crazy. All right.
All right. Let's pick someone. So Nightbot will choose someone who gave the right answer, and I will ask this person to share with me in the chat his or her Twitter handle. Okay. This is, and I will contact you on Twitter. Okay. And the winner is Mark Pinkstone. Congratulations, Mark.
Well done, Mark.
Yes. Now we have a new. Whoa! Look at that.
Yeah, I thought I would show that.
Oh, okay. I can hide it if you want.
Oh no, you're fine now. But I just wanted to make sure.
So Mark Pinkstone, congratulations. Let me type a message for you. What is your Twitter handle? So I can contact you. And we'll do one more giveaway. We'll give away.
We'll do it now or do it at the end?
Access. Well, at the end.
Okay.
So you just stay with us if you want to access all his video tutorials for 1 year and get the files also. I mean, you get access everything. It's not only videos, right? When you do tutorials.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. When you get access to my site, you got the exercise. They're low res, of course, but they're exercise files, so you can follow along with tutorials as you go. So it's very cool.
Great.
And thank you for everybody that did take advantage of the free stuff yesterday. So quite a bit of people signed up, especially right away after the show. So thank you for that. I hope you enjoy that. Obviously, a lot of people did because there was some good stuff being posted of what people were doing. So that's awesome. So this next one I thought I'd show is I actually still write the Down and Dirty Tricks column for Photoshop User Magazine, something I did with my old company, and they still publish a magazine, and it's a fun column to do because it's really kind of like just doing experiments and stuff, trying new things in Photoshop, and then I get to share them, and there's just really cool tricks. So this is one, and this is another one of those things where it's like you just start experimenting in Photoshop with no real idea in mind, and you just arrive at something and you're like, oh, that's cool, and then you build up on it. So this is one of those examples, and it actually demonstrates well another selection technique I use when using luminance based selections. I actually have a lot of people ask me about luminance selections, and they're really handy, especially when you've got a subject like this, where she's got this flowing dress here, and there's some transparency to that.
Yeah.
And just doing a quick select or anything like that might do well, but in this particular case, she's on a solid white background. That's a huge advantage, being able to extract her using a luminance-based selection. So to do that, I'm going to open up the Channels palette. And this goes back to what I was talking about earlier, is that, I've been using Photoshop since before layers, so I remember having to really master channels to get really good selections and stuff like that, and extracting things. Now it's not so hard because there's a lot of more advanced selection features in Photoshop, but I still go back to a lot of the old methods that really worked well, and this is certainly one example of that. So in the Channels palette, what you want to do, in this case, normally I would just go through each channel and see which one had the best contrast to the background, the original background. In this case, the background is solid white, and it's all the details on the subject. So I'm just going to use the main RGB channel to make my selection here. So all you got to do is hold down the Command key, Control on Windows, and then click directly on the RGB channel thumbnail. And what that does is it loads the brightness or luminance of the image as an active selection. And in this case, our subject is dark against a white background. So what's selected right now is all the background and some of the subject. There's some transparency here that's subtly selected. So we're going to go under Select and choose Inverse. Flips the selection around now to the darker areas. And if I simply press Command J, it pulls that selected area to a new layer. Now, if I turn the background layer off, you can see it didn't pull the whole subject because there was a little bit of transparency in there.
Even in the leg.
Even in the leg. So what we want to do is get those areas, like the body parts. We want to fill those in. We want to build the density back up in that, but we want to maintain some transparency in the clothing.
Yeah.
So the quick and cool way to do that is on that Layers panel, with that extracted layer selected, you're simply going to press Command J 2 or 3 more times. If I say copy, copy, copy. Notice how, in fact, I'll undo it.
That's good.
It's better to see it when you're up close, but so you can see the transparency in the legs and such like that. But when I just duplicate the layer 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we've built that density back into the subject, but now we were maintaining the transparency in the fabric. How cool is that? So now when we bring it on a background, we're gonna see the transparency through the fabric like you would expect to see it. Yeah. But now obviously I've got all these layers here, so I'm just gonna select all those extracted layers and then press Command E, merges them back down to one single layer, and now we've got a nicely extracted subject there. So with that, let's go ahead and create a new document. We'll do this in this is 1500 by 2000. We'll be fine. There we go. So I'm going to give this a blue background fill. It's a little bit closer to teal.
Let's say it's a nice trick. Yeah. That's a very good one.
It is a good trick. Yes, I use it. Like I said, it's one of those things I used years and years ago, and there's features that have made it easier, but there's still those scenarios where you're like, it's just not working, let me try this, and then you try it and it works really well. I'm trying to get the right shade of blue here. There we go. Okay, that's fine. So now let's grab our subject, go ahead and drag and drop her on in here and scale it. There we go.
We have Janet working on statistics to see
how
many times we can get a chance to win Creative Cloud if you watch Adobe Live. Yeah.
Oh, Larry's back. I didn't know.
3 times every other week, 4 times a day. Then it's 312.
When he's with Texas, cool. Maybe.
Good to know, Janet. Actually, it's helpful for me.
So Larry's chiming in with the smudge brush. I think I know. I have a technique I'll show with the smudge brush. I don't know if it's the one you're thinking of, but I will show this one. But hopefully that'll be. All right. So I've brought my subject over, so I no longer need that layer. So now I'm going to create a shape layer this time.
Oh, be careful because.
Yeah, this time I actually want the shape layer. I don't want the path. I want a shape this time. So we're going to go up here and choose shape. And I'm going to draw a box here around, or kind of like, in a sense, framing my subject, but just kind of inside a little bit. And we're going to set the stroke to white. And we're going to make it a lot bigger. Let's go to about 15. Ooh, no, let's go bigger than that. Let's go like 25. There we go. So, well, actually, let me change my background.
Could you have filled in the body with a brush on overlay blend?
What's that?
Now, Ewin was asking, when you had, I guess, the first layer with still too much transparency, he was thinking maybe you could fill the body with a brush on overlay blend. It's risky. You will lose detail.
Well, because not with transparent pixels. If it was a black and white, if it was still on the base layer, yes, I could. Because when you use overlay, it's got to interact with black and white and gray pixels. If there's transparency, you're not going to see any effect there. So, assuming that's what you're talking about, texture mapping brush. I know what a texture mapping brush is, but what context are they talking about here? Look at somebody's like, hey.
Angelo, you just dropped features like this.
All right, well, back over here. I want to put a gradient on that background blue layer there. So I'm gonna double click on the layer here. I actually unlocked the background layer, and it's kind of an age-old trick. When all the time I would unlock this is just a silly thing. I'm just gonna show it anyway. All the time I would unlock a background layer, I just double click it and then hit OK here. But the quickest and easiest way to unlock a background layer? Grab the padlock and drag it to the trash. Done.
Or click on.
Yeah.
There's so many ways.
So now that
to drag it,
it's fun to drag, yeah. So I'm just going to add a gradient overlay here on this layer. So I've got it set to multiply, and I'm just going to put the light source.
Ooh, nice.
Kind of right in the middle here. So notice I've got the gradient layer. It's in multiply mode.
Whoa.
And try different blend modes. Let's see how overlay. Oh no, I want it to be darker around the background. So let's go ahead with multiply. And again, gradients you can move around. So I'm going to position the hot spot behind her. And I've got it set to radial, of course, and that looks really good. So there we go. Okay. Now, I want the subject here to really be, I want to have some parts in front of the frame here, and I want to have some parts behind it. So I'm going to mask the subject by making an active selection of the shape of the dancer here. So you command click on the layer thumbnail, and you'll see that active selection there. And then I'm going to go up to the rectangular shape layer here and then activate a layer mask. Actually, no, let's hold down the Option key, or Alt if you're on Windows. Alt, click on the layer mask, and that will hide the frame where the subject was selected. So now what I want to do is I want to put some any of her limbs behind the frame. I'll just take a brush here. Oop. Brush was really small from the shooting star I did a while ago. So I'm on the layer mask, and I'm just going to paint with white, and we'll just make her arm look like it's going behind. So all I'm doing is just filling back in the frame, because the frame layer is above the subject here you see in the layers panel. So by painting this, we're just allowing the subject to go behind. So there we have her kind of like jumping through the frame there. So now what I'm going to do, create another layer. And we're going to add a kind of a light effect to this. So I want this frame, this white border, to actually be like a light. It's like a square light frame. So we're going to add a little bit of an outer glow to it. So let's do an outer glow layer style here. Increase the size. Oh, linear light's a bit harsh. So let's do screen perhaps. There we go. That's better. Ah, yes. There we go.
Like neon.
So yeah, we're getting this cool neon or LED strip or whatever it's going to look like. But so that's a layer style, and I can of course adjust that as I go. But what's cool about it is, what needs to be cool about it is that if that's a light frame and she's kind of, jumping through it in a sense, then that light would obviously be reflecting on her.
Yeah.
So on this layer above it, I'm going to go and get a gradient tool. I'm going to use a radial gradient, foreground to transparent. Let's do radial, the full intensity. And of course, let's do with white. And we'll add a gradient here. Now I'm going to change the blend mode of this layer to overlay. And now you can see as I add the effect. Oh. I actually need to apply the layer mask here. So I'm going to option drag. Here's a cool trick to when you want to use the same layer mask on another layer, grab the option key and just option drag it to the target layer. And then now as I add the gradients, oh, I need to invert it. There we go. Okay. All right. What am I doing? I'm still on the mask. Okay, that's right. All right, I had to invert the mask. So yes, so I have the mask selected. I copied that one over, and then you press Command I to invert it. So now just the area of the subject is visible, and then on the layer itself, I'm just going to add these gradients from the inside in, and then that ultimately gives me the effect that there's this bright area or bright light right next to the subject there. So you're getting this kind of cool edge lighting there. Really helps sell the effect a lot more. So.
And Le Grand David is asking, do you have live streams in French? Yes, but it's on youtube.com/Adobe France, Adobe France. And you will have weekly live streams made by Franck Payen.
That is weird. Why is it? Oh, I know why. That's
and
why.
Corey, he streams in French. Like
I do all the time, yeah. Mm-hmm. No, yes. All right, I had to go back a few steps here because I did something wrong.
Oh, no.
Not really wrong, I just missed a step here. Let me go back a few.
As you step back, you know what? We will give away your...
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Let's do that.
Let's do that. So you are giving away 1 year full access to all your...
1 year full access, yes, to Master Effects training, yep.
Okay, so to get a chance to win this full access to Corey's material, we invite you to type something in the chat. This is the last day. This is day 3 of the live stream, so I want you to type something nice in the chat with Corey. You know? So just find a sentence, something nice.
Don't be mean.
Yeah, don't be mean.
But be mean, but I get to be mean back, so. All right, so now I know what I did wrong, so I'm back here. So instead of creating that layer and putting the layer mask on it and inverting it and stuff like that, create a new layer. But notice I got it above the subject now. And now we're going to create a clipping group. So I'm just going to press Option Command G, or just go into the pop-up menu here and choose Create Clipping Mask. And what that does is it now makes that layer only visible through the layer below, which in this case is the subject. So now if I take that same gradient and then add the elements here, now it's looking right. The mask was. Now, of course, I got to change the blend mode. Make sure that blend mode is in overlay mode so it will blend right. But now you can really sell the effect of that light on the edge of the subject there. And we'll have it shining on her face here.
Nice.
Get on the edges of the arms. And we'll just lighten up the subject overall. Let's give her, there we go. That's looking really good. But that's pretty much it. I mean, you just go in there and you tweak the lighting and everything like that, but you get a cool extraction and you just create this interactive light in there. And that's got a very 3D look to it without any 3D. Very, very cool. All right. Corey President. Oh, no, I don't want that job. Where is he, Corey? Where is he? Everybody's loving it. So you're all saying all these nice things, but you're not telling me what you want to see. Nobody has any requests?
Yeah, because we have 25 minutes left. So yeah,
the request lines are open.
What you want him to?
I mean, I still have some stuff I can show. I mean, I brought plenty of tricks, but
So now we will ask Nightboat to pick someone. And this is Gary Cooper.
Gary Cooper?
Wow. It's something.
The Gary Cooper?
The Gary Cooper is watching. So Gary Cooper, congratulations. Thanks for watching. I mean, we love your movies. They're all awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, and
I was enjoying, yes.
Please contact me on Twitter, or let me know in the chat what is your Twitter handle. and I will contact you.
So here's a fun one. This is with just some cool color effects.
It's a great picture.
It's not 3D, but it's fun. But this, again, goes back to the luminance-based selections. There's something fun you can have as a designer with color effects using luminance-based images here. So I'm going to go... Yep. So I'm going to start air in the channels. No, wait, I'm starting the layers here. I'm going to create a new blank layer right above the subject here and give this a background fill here. Let's do this bright green color. There we go. And so I filled that layer in. I'm going to turn the layer off for the moment. Now I want to do a luminance-based selection on this subject. So I'm going to command-click, once again, on the RGB channel. Then I'm going to create another new layer in the Layers panel. Let's turn the green layer back on. And I'm going to get kind of a dark blue color. No, I got to inverse it. So, like I did before, I'm going to go to Select Inverse, flip it around, and then fill that selection with blue. And basically, we've created this kind of two-tone effect of the image here. So I'm going to command-click on the layer and make a selection of that again, and then go Select Inverse again. So now I've flipped it around to the unselected area, but there's some transparent area still in that selection. So if I hit Delete 1 or 2 times, I just increase the amount of background color coming through.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you are acting the transparency. Okay.
So that looks really good. So now I'm going to make a duplicate of that layer, and then we're going to give it a really bright color fill. Let me lock the transparency. Give it like this.
Okay.
And then we're going to go and do that select and inverse and delete a few times once again. And we get this really cool, almost like an infrared color effect going on.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
This is a look we see all the time.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I saw this. I saw this on an advertisement. Where I got the idea. I was just like, that's a really cool effect. So I went in ahead and started playing with it. But just in a few short layers, we've got this looking really cool. So now, what I wanted to do, because I like this image, I wanted to put an image in the glasses, and I actually have an image here. This is a nighttime skyline of Chicago. Shout out to Elise. Chicago, represent. So this I want to bring over. Actually, I want to extract it. I don't want to bring the sky over. I just want to bring the skyline here. So I am going to use the Magic Wand tool. I'm sorry. I'm going to use the Quick Selection tool. Drag and select the sky itself. And this goes back to what I was talking about before. If you've got an image and you've got to select and extract it, if it's easier to select the background and just inverse it, do that. Don't make a headache out of trying to select a particular subject when the background will be easier. So select inverse here, and copy that to a new layer. So now let's get the skyline is extracted. So I'm going to bring it on over. And
thank you, Gary Cooper, for contacting me on Twitter. We'll put you in touch with Corey, so you will receive your 1-year access. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So position it right over the glasses here, and then I'm going to blend it. I think I'm going to do multiply. No. Well, yeah, let's actually multiply. Let's drop it. Yeah, there we go. So I did multiply and dropped it to 50% because I didn't want it to be too dark. And that is looking good. So it looks like it's got the stylized reflection of the city in his glasses there. But obviously we've got to mask out the excess area outside of the lenses. So we'll just throw a layer mask on the layer and get my brush tool. Is it? No, I want to make it a soft edge brush. And I don't want to have any properties applied to it. Oh, no, I don't want pressure sensitivity. I do want to soften it up just a little bit. I'm going to dial down the hardness just a little. Mm-hmm. And I do want to reposition. I want to have that. Here we go. Now, when I first started doing this, I was trying to paint away the areas I didn't want to see. But I thought, why don't I just do this? Why don't I just invert the mask?
Good pun, Jan Eric. It looks like the Spotify effect. It's true. You see all the Spotify advertisements?
That's true. Yeah, you can certainly use this technique to create that very same effect. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think those are more like two-tone. But same thing. You could save a base color layer and then do the luminance extraction and fill, and then you're done.
Great.
Yeah, it's really quick and easy. So what I did was I just filled the layer mask with black to hide it, and then now I'm just going to paint in the area of the lenses here.
It's easier, I see,
and that's going to be easier. And if I over if I color outside the lines, as it were, then I can just press X to invert my colors and then just adjust it there. So we'll just paint. We're painting in the skyline here. There we go. And by dropping that transparency, it's allowing some of the color effect to bleed through the sky and everything like that. But ultimately, there we have.
Nice.
And I actually ended up putting some text on the bottom in my original one. But you can just get some really cool color effects. Again, using that luminance-based selection, you can actually get really creative with multiple layer effects like that. So.
You know what we could do? Maybe, I mean, if you don't want to, that's fine. But someone was asking in the chat, can you show how to do 3D text? You know,
3D. Oh yeah.
So maybe you can add a title to. Or if you have another sample.
Actually, well, I have one. It doesn't really go with this design, so
okay.
I'll save this. Yeah, but 3D text. Okay. Yeah. That's easy. That's bread and butter. Easy. Maybe we'll do something cinematic.
Oh, here we go. Mohammed asking again. 3D text, please. Okay. We'll show it.
3D
and how to export for 3D software. Well, if you have a 3D software, you should have a text tool. Usually. So that would be more for your Photoshop compositions.
All right, so what am I going to do here? I've got several different text effects I can do.
Someone mentions that you have a book. You want to buy your book?
I actually have 3 books. My most recent book came out last year. It's how to create badass effects in Photoshop. So it's available at Amazon. Still available now. So yeah, definitely check that out. I should have brought some. Actually, I'll give away. You know what? I'll give away a book too. I have some copies at home, and I'll sign a copy and give it away. So we've already given away access to my site for a year. So we'll do another giveaway. I will give away a signed book.
Let's do this.
You have to wait till I get home to send it, but
in 15 minutes. So stay with us. Stay tuned.
So we'll do actually, I'll give away 3. We'll do 3 signed books. Why not? It's the last.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and Terry will sign it too, right? We'll have everybody here will sign it. Well, I'll take a group picture and sign it. Okay. Text, 3D text. Let me think here. I've got several cool ones, so I want to make sure I do something sweet here. Let me make sure. Okay. All right.
You know what? We should do a group picture with a green screen. Share it on social and let people add whatever they want. No, Terry? You don't feel it? You don't feel it? They could use Photoshop Mix, yeah?
Okay. I'm actually going to go. I'm sorry, I'm just...
Oh, that's okay.
I didn't know. I did one recently on my site with a text effect.
We'll switch to the front camera so you don't have to...
Oh, okay, there it is. All right, I'll do that one. Okay. I will, okay, I'll do. I know what I'm going to do.
Here we go.
All right. Since I'm going to keep kind of with a sports theme here. Since we did the Lombardi Trophy, I'll just kind of do some sporty text here. So, look, I'm using Futura. Victoria, shout. I'm actually not. It's actually what it's set to now. I'm going to use a different font. So I'm going to use Euro style in this. Okay, there we go. I'll leave it to her to use to demo with Futura. All right, so no, I'm not doing superb. I'm doing Super Bowl. Okay, there we go. We'll do some Super Bowl text to go along with our Lombardi Trophy. All right. So what I want to do is I want to create, this is one of my biggest things about 3D and Photoshop is the ability to create 3D text. And if you're a designer, you can really do a lot of really cool stuff with this. I want to create a two-part 3D. I want to have like an outer element and then an inner element that the text is kind of sitting inside. So I'm going to make a duplicate of this layer. And let's go ahead and convert this to a path. Or I'm sorry, we're going to convert it to a shape layer. And on that, we're going to go over here and add a stroke to this. Let's do it gray, and let's go really thick on it. Now, the stroke is obviously set on the inside, so I need to go up here in the options bar to the stroke options, and let's align it to the outside. And then we'll continue to increase the size here. There we go. So I'm creating this big outer frame here. Now, I also want to make the corners rounded, so we'll go over here and into the corners and give it a rounded look. There we go. And it's probably not quite that thick. There we go. Oh no, I do want to touch it.
So yes, Scraphead and Era. So yeah, Adobe Live, 3 days of live streams with amazing guests every 2 weeks. So within 2 weeks, always on Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. Yeah, so exactly, Pearly Cream Cheese. February 7, 8, 9 will be the next stream. It will be about graphic design with 4 European artists. We will be live from Paris. And then 2 weeks after, back to San Francisco, a live stream where we will create t-shirts live with amazing illustrators, including Rob Generate the Third, Webzilla. He was in the chat this morning. And then 2 weeks after, motion design animation. 2 weeks after, video makers. So we'll try to cover all the creative fields. So make sure to come back.
Very nice.
And Corey, this is your second time, right? Because you, I remember
yeah,
you did
I was here
Creativity
back last April. Yeah,
It was on Twitch. It wasn't on
that was on Twitch that
was on
time. Yeah,
Twitch.
it was. So it was fun. I had a great time.
Super Bowl.
Sorry, I'm going back a couple of steps here because I'm just going to do something a little bit differently there. Okay. So I don't want to have these really stacked on top of each other. I want to kind of move this one. There we go. Because if I have time, I'm going to toss. How are we going to? Oh, we got time. I might drop the Lombardi in next to it. So. All right. So I've got this text formatted. I'm going to go back to making a duplicate of the layer, and we're going to right-click on the layer and choose Convert to Shape. And we want to add the stroke element on the outside here. So bring that up. Again, we're going to align on the outside. Round the corners. There we go. Okay, that's looking good. All right. So I've got 2 layers here. One with just the regular text like that, and then I've got one with this outer kind of frame element on it. So we're going to convert both of these into 3D. So let's start with this layer here. So go to 3D, new 3D extrusion from selected layer. It's a text layer, so it's not a path. So there's that. Let's rotate our view. So there's the extrusion of the text. Now the cool thing about when you create 3D text from a 3D layer, even when you get to the point where you've rendered and you've got all these effects going on, you can always go back and change the text. You can edit the text without going out and restarting all over again. So that's the beauty of it here. I mean, because you would just go into selecting the text object and properties, and there's a button right here called Edit Source, and here's where you get back to the original document, and you can make any changes you want. So if there were several of them, you can make super bowls, and then when I hit save, it updates it with the new letter right there. But
you don't want me to pronounce this with my accents, you know.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to adjust the extrusion here. Let's bring that, of course, like we did earlier. Now, the thing I like to do with text is I don't like just flat surfaces. You know, you've got the extrusion, which is flat, it's fine. But the front face, I want to make it a little bit more exciting. So I'm going to reset my default view here. And I want to select the main text object here in the 3D panel.
Okay.
And we're going to add a bevel to this. And unlike, and I talked about this yesterday, I don't want to do a fake bevel like Layer Styles does because it gives you the illusion. We're going to add an actual bevel on this. So I'm going to increase. So you go to the cap section, which is the 3rd tab at the top here, and we'll just drag this in. And by doing that, you can see it creates me a nice extrusion on there. Probably a little bit more than I want. Let's dial that down to about 15. There we go. And then I also want to go over to the next tab over, which is the... No, we were in the same tab. I'm sorry. Below the bevel settings is that inflate property I mentioned yesterday. I'm going to take the strength and just bulge out the front face of the text just a little bit there. Now this very technique is what I did. The book I mentioned a moment ago, that the Badass Effects, that text on the cover of that book is done using this very same technique here. So, so I've got the bevel and bulged it out a little bit. That's all looking really good. We'll get to modifying the surface colors and such like that in a moment. But let's go back to the layer of that outer shape there. There we go. So now we're going to go and convert this to 3D as well. Let me turn this layer off for the moment. So this is the layer below that I put the red stroke on. So we're going to take that, convert it to 3D. Now the reason why I like to convert it to a path... Uh-oh. Oh no, it's too complex. Are you kidding me?
Really?
Yeah, I run into that every now and then.
Overlay.
Every now and then I run into that. If you get a path, when you convert a path, and if you got a lot of things going on with the path, sometimes you'll get that warning. Let me try it again. Sometimes it gets a little moody. So yeah, it's not going to work. But do not fret. We are not dead in the water. All you got to do, and this again, I talked about this. I don't normally make a pixel-based extrusion, but given this element, it's already got a nice smooth edge to it. I'm going to go ahead and rasterize this.
I see.
And then now we're going to do that same thing, new through extrusion from selected layer this time. And then now it will extrude no problem. See there. Now, the only hang up when you do it that way is if I deselect. So see these around the edge here, the subtle little light areas you see right in there? I don't know if you can see it on that screen, but yeah, see those?
No, I can.
So those are just some little imperfections around the edge there. But to fix that, you just go into...
Is it due to the pixels? Because you
it's because of the rasterization, but to take care of that, you go to the front inflation material here in the 3D panel, and go to the properties and go to that diffuse property and choose edit texture. What you're seeing is that transparent background. So see, kind of alerts, but the mesh lines are a little off in some areas, and that's why you're seeing that. So to fix that, I'm just going to sample that red color and then fill the background with that entire color.
Oh, that's it.
And that
creates
that cleans up those dirty edges quite nicely. So little work around there, but it's a nice little fix there. So now let's do some adjusting on this. I'm gonna go in. Sorry, we're still in this layer. So I'm gonna go and add a bevel on this element here. Very subtle one. But on this particular bevel, I'm going to go in here, right over here to the right, and there's a little contour setting. You probably remember this in layer styles, where you can actually affect the contour of the edge. But here, I'm going to go ahead and do half round, so it's a nice curve to it, instead of a straight 45-degree angle. When I click OK, you can see we got a much more subtle edge there. That's looking really good. So now, I'm going to reactivate my other layer, and now I'm just going to merge these two together. So now the other text really just kind of hid inside of the other text there. So there it is. So we're going to grab that, slide it forward, and there we have. There it is. Okay. So now you can see what we got going on here. It's looking really cool. So I'm going to use my widget just to kind of help position this right about there. Select this text. Dial that extrusion down. That's looking really good. All right. So now let's go in and modify the reflections and lighting and such like that. So which one am I on here? Okay, copy. So on that front text, I'm going to select the front inflation material. Let's increase the shine and reflection. I'm not going the full 100%. I don't want to mirror reflection here. I just want to give it some element of reflection there, like it's got a kind of a plastic look to it. So do the same thing on the front face of this text. So by doing that, you see immediately that specular highlight from the IBL already up here, but we're gonna change that as well. I'm going to also do it to the bevel. We added that bevel to this yellow text, so we'll increase the amount of reflection there as well. Let's get my current view. So now if I go, so now we're getting looking really good there. But again, I'm going to change that IBL. I want to get my own custom one in there.
Except Iron Man also.
So You know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer. In fact, you know what? Oh, I just thought of something. Let me do the light first. So I'm going to create a new IBL here. And once again, I'm going to make it, oh, no, not that small. Let's go 1,000 by 1,000. So of course it goes dark because there's no light area in there yet, but this is typically my IBLs are very abstract, so I'll just make an oval selection in here, and then I'll just drag a white gradient in there. It's just a simple foreground transparent, and it gives me a soft edge here, a soft faded edge, but it also gives me a harsh edge. So now if I close and save it and move that IBL around, now I'm getting this really cool effect on the text there. Now I need to increase that shine and reflection on the red part here. Let's bump that up a little bit. Perhaps even like what I did with the yellow text, but not as much. I'm going to inflate that front face just ever so slightly. Now, I can't go too far because obviously it's going to swallow up the... you don't want to do that, but I'm just 1% actually is fine for that. There we go. Now we're seeing the yellow part of the inside of that text.
Yes, we have 5 minutes. Yeah, it's true.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's fine. No, I'm out.
Yeah, so I just need to start maybe asking them to type something. Okay, so we will pick three viewers in the chat who will receive a signed book by Corey.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to type something in the chat, adding thanks. Thanks, Corey, for blah, 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 blah.
So on that yellow part of the text, I'm going to take this texture here, and let me scale it down. It's just kind of a fun little texture here. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to copy it to the clipboard. I'm going to jump over here on the yellow text part. We're going to go and apply this as a bump map. So go to the bump setting here, and I'm just going to go and choose new texture. Paste it in. And when you're creating a bump map, the way to think about it is the darker areas get pushed back, lighter areas get pulled forward. So I'm actually going to invert this one and hit save. And you can see what's going on here. Actually, no, let's not invert it. Let's say, there we go. Okay. So bringing it in at full scale. So now you can see the bump is actually very big on the text. We need to adjust the size, and that's really quite simple to do. Go to that bump menu again, and you're going to choose Edit UV Properties, and just use the scale here. So we're just going to, and I used to like to use the scrubby sliders, and we'll just bring that texture down quite a bit. So let's get this kind of organic skinning on the text there. So that's looking really good. And if you want to make it not the edges of the text or of that bump texture not so harsh, go back into the original file and just put a little bit of a blur on it. About a 3 pixel blur. And that'll give us a little bit smoother. So that's actually looking like a snake skin almost. Idea. But so now I'm just going to get a little bit more dramatic angle on the camera here. And this really should be saying Spider-Man now instead of Super Bowl, but that's okay. All right.
Okay, now we start picking. Okay, 3 people in the chat. You will receive a signed book by Curry. First winner is Web Sash. Congratulations, Web. Second one is Luca Leonard. Congratulations. And the third one is Rod Griffiths.
Somebody noticed that my hard drive on my Mac is named Jarvis.
Nice.
Good call. Good pick. But now you can see I'm moving my camera around. So look at the way the lighting's behaving on that on the red area and the yellow. It looks really good. So that's just one of the many, many things you can do with 3D text right here in Photoshop. So you guys, thank you guys for having me, for tuning in.
Thanks for sharing all these tips, and
Had a lot of
We
fun
have
with
to
it.
send
and
some books. And thanks for giving away the books too. And
did we get all 3 winners?
yeah, we have
Okay.
the 3 winners
You got the
already.
information? All right, so yeah, I'll be getting
Yeah.
I'll be getting in contact with you and sending you a signed copy sometime next week.
Yeah, thank you, Corey. It was
I
awesome.
appreciate it. Thank you. No, I had a
And we
great
will
time.
be with Victoria Siemer in 5 minutes. Okay, stay tuned on adobelive.com. See you in 5 minutes. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
And we lost Terry.